Alright, time to talk about David Cronenberg's The Fly. Again, yes, I'm redoing this review, a re-review because I did it last year and I'm not sure exactly what I talked about because I'm going through the entire series. I thought I might as well give this one another shot and put it through my new rating system. So, David Cronenberg's The Fly came out in 1987. It is a remake of The Fly from 1958. That's it. It's 1986. That's it. Yeah. Okay. So, had they waited 2 years to put this out, it would have been the 30th anniversary. Yeah. Very interesting. Anyway. So this one is a little bit different, as it's not about any Delambre family. We have Seth Brundle, played by Jeff Goldblum. Yes. And he's got this. It starts really weird. You get the opening titles, and then we start at a party. It just puts us into a party where he's talking to a journalist named Veronica, or Ronnie, as she's called throughout the film. And, so he's talking to her, and he's like, oh, you want to see something pretty cool? Revolutionary to mankind? Yes? Yes? That's Kester. And, so, takes her back to his loft apartment, where he puts her garter, I think it's a garter or a pantyhose or something, through the machine, and it works. So the problem in this one isn't that stuff is backwards. It's that it's not like you can put a cup or a pantyhose or something in there and it'll work. It's organic matter that is the problem. And when he shows her this, she's like, oh, you read a big old story and stuff, and he's like, no, and she's like, well, I'm a journalist, you knew that. He did know that. Why else was he talking to her? So she takes the story to her boss, Stathis, who's also her ex-boyfriend. First of all, what the hell kind of name is Stathis? Who came up with that? That's a weird-ass name. This guy, he's got the beard and the balding head. Just say that. Yes. So, one thing, I mentioned in the original was that they had a good build-up of when it was going to happen. Well, you already knew it happened, but you had a good build-up to showing us the creature. Whereas this one's a little bit different. When it happens, they actually show you the fly buzzing around in there. Like, he's trying to do this with baboons, and it's not working. One baboon explodes, and he go, poof! And then you have, so he, trying to figure out how it works, because it works with the, so he puts a steak in there, he cuts a steak in half, fries one up in a frying pan, and puts the other one inside the machine, and has Ronnie taste it. The regular steak tastes like a steak, but the other one tastes like it's synthetic. Which means that when it's being transferred, the molecules get messed up and it's not transferring correctly. So he fixes that, he sends a baboon through, and it works, and they're going to celebrate. And then she discovers this magazine cover that Stathis had sent. So she goes to yell at him, because he wants anything to do with it. Now he knows he can make money off of it after hearing stuff. If he thinks he can make money off of it, then why not, right? Same. Pardon me. yeah, and so they become romantically involved, and I know I criticized Curse of the Fly for like them falling in love right away and get married. They don't get married here, but the romance in movies sometimes happens quick, and they do kind of even ask, "Are we having some kind of a romance here?" It's like yes, it could be some kind of romance, you know. And then when she leaves, he's like, "Are you sleeping with Stathis?" And she's like, we used to date, but not anymore. Like, she even made him give his key back. Why did he still have his key if they're not together? I don't know. But, yes. So after going through, he realizes that, he starts acting stranger. His eating habits change, and he's stronger, faster, more agile. He can climb on the wall. And then he starts to change. And what I like about this one, I said the original, and we're going to talk about this in my eventual original remake, but it was a slow build to revealing what the creature looked like in the original. This one is a slow build of transformation. Because it's David Cronenberg, each and every transformation gets more and more disturbing. And I like that. Like, at first, it's just a few things, like a few hairs on his back, and then blotches on his face and stuff. And then, like, he's starting to, his arms are starting to change, and then his face, and it just kind of mutates even more. The final transformation is the one thing that when I first watched this really had me going, oh, shit, because that was... So if you're not aware, I probably said this in my other review, but when I first watched this, was one of the first times I got a tooth pulled. This one? I see this one. I think it's this one. Yeah, it's this one because these two were taken out last year. But it was this one up here in the far back. The first two that got pulled. And this was my comfort movie. They had it on YouTube. It's one of those things where they have it kind of distorted. So it wasn't the best, but I watched it in the dark, so it added things. But the final transformation scene, that got me. Because it's out of nowhere, It reminds me of the effect in Nightmare on Elm Street Part 4, when, was her name, Debbie, turns into the cockroach. It's kind of like that. Like, so yeah, he becomes more and more, keeps transforming, and his mind gets more and more, much like in the original where he's starting to lose his smartness. Here, he's starting to lose his sanity and turning more and more into what he calls Brundlefly. Although, I don't think that had to go so far. One thing that grosses me out, I don't like watching, is the scene where he's, like, they don't show it. They show it later, but, like, not when he's trying to eat food. You hear the yakking sound because flies, if you don't know, they spit out an enzyme to melt their food so that it's easy for them to swallow it. And they do that here. Oh, I'm not sure it's, like, 100% accurate because, like, it melts human bone. I don't think it can do that. Because later... Okay, so I'm getting a little ahead, but Ronnie finds out that she's pregnant. And she doesn't know whether or not she got pregnant before or after the transformation started. So she's concerned. She has this horrifying dream. And I'm going to criticize this dream. So I wasn't sure what I was watching at this point. I'd seen it before. Like, are you going to be okay? You're going to be okay? He's pushing her in the wheelchair. And I'm like, this isn't a dream already, is it? She doesn't even look pregnant. She didn't. She had a little bump. I'm like, she's supposed to be pregnant? She doesn't even look. And then when she wakes up, like, she doesn't look like she's any less pregnant than she was in there. Like, it just... I have a bigger belly than she did as a pregnant woman in this movie. There are too many special effects that couldn't afford a baby bump. I mean, come on. It's for one scene, you couldn't have like a pillow or something underneath. Come on. But yeah, it's a little larva, and then she wakes up. Impressive effects for the larva, but I guess. That's the focus of the second film, is her baby, so I think they had an idea, hey, set something up, maybe we can follow this, because there's no real ending to this movie, and we'll get there. So, uh, eventually, Stathis shows up with a shotgun to confront Brundlefly. But Brundlefly is too far gone, and he melts off his hand and one of his legs. And to this day, I still don't think that's how it works. Because if fly enzymes could do that, it'd be more obvious. Like, our food would have a little more meltiness to it. Like, one of our say they flew and landed on a green bean. You think there'd be a melty part of the green bean where it landed, so you can eat it, right? It just, I don't know. I know they do that. I know it's probably microscopic to see, but if it was that powerful, maybe it's more powerful because he's a mutant or something. But I don't know. I know it's to make cool effects, but I find that highly unlikely. By the way, all these negative things I was saying aren't really negative, they're just nitpicks. Because I love this movie. I do, that spoils it, but I do love this movie. So, Stathis is incapacitated at this point. Ronnie shows up. Brundlefly walks on the thing, picks her up, drops her down, and he wants to fuse all of them together in the thing, in the telepod, to become one. And I really don't know how I was supposed to make him, make him more human, technically, be more human things, but no, and he ends up getting fused with the other telepod or a piece of metal from the telepod or something, and becomes a more fused creature, because she's fighting him, and that's when it breaks apart, and you see the more, creature part, and at this point, there's no more, Jeff Goldblum after this. Once it fully transforms, it's like animatronic thing she's fighting against, which is really cool looking. Cronenberg did a good job here. But, does he do the effects for his own movies or no? Screenplay. I'm pretty sure he does. But anyway, so eventually, through, motion, he motions for her to use the rifle to shoot him, and I think he pulls the trigger himself and shoots his own head off. She screams, movie ends. We get no wrap up. Is Stathis gonna survive? How's she gonna deal with it? Nothing. And I know that Stathis is in the sequel for like maybe a minute. And I know that Ronnie comes back, but it's a different actress because we get the birthing scene. I've never seen the second one, by the way. This movie is fantastic. The special effects, the acting, even from Jeff Goldblum, who's criticized for his us. And they even does it in Hitler. He's like, Brundle, Seth. Brundle, Seth. Like, at the beginning of this, he has the goofiest look on his face at the beginning of this one. Because he's so happy to show someone this. But yeah, and I do like the design. Like, it's a big, grand telepod thing, not just a glass box, because they actually have a budget here. So, it's really cool. And I gotta tell you about the Blu-ray specifications, because I've only watched it either on a YouTube version or the DVD. The HD on this is fantastic. It helps that the last movie I watched was Curse of the Fly, and the resolution on that was terrible. It was there was too much white, overexposed, I think you call it. And it was kind of, really, it's like the worst quality of the Fly movies. Like I said, I haven't watched The Fly 2 yet, but this looked really good. And I appreciated, the other ones were widescreen, but this one fit the entire screen. And I love that. I love watching the 80s ones. The thing doesn't have a full, the whole screen, but this was really good. And be afraid, be very afraid. She says that in the movie. But yeah. And I also want to give credit that at one point I did want a steak. but I don't have any. But yeah, so guys, without question, The Fly is going to the moon. So what are your thoughts on David Cronenberg's The Fly? Let me know in the comments below. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching. I've been Scotty, and I'll see you in the next one.